Vikings, let's win this game.
Attention Vikings fans. Today feels like a day full of breaking headlines in the purple and gold world. A veteran safety quietly joins the team and could reshape the depth of the defense. A cornerback decides to take the number that for years symbolized the heart of the offense. A wide receiver who seemed ready to explode suddenly sees his role shrink after an unexpected move. And to close it all, an emotional return triggers a chain reaction that left another team completely stunned. This is the kind of sequence any sports channel would call breaking news. You won't believe what we have today. Welcome. Support this Vikings community with a like and a comment. Picture the fans celebrating after the official announcement of the 53 final players, and right after that, a silent move happens, almost unnoticed, but one that could end up having way more impact than it seems. That's exactly what went down. The Vikings added an experienced veteran to their defense, a name that has already traveled around the NFL and now wears purple and gold. I'm talking about K'Von Wallace, a safety who joins the practice squad but might be just one call away from the main roster. And the question every fan is asking right now is, could this low-key addition actually prove decisive? Wallace isn't some wide-eyed rookie. We're talking about a guy with 5 years in the league, 71 games played, 19 starts, and more than 160 tackles. He's already been with the Philadelphia Eagles, Arizona Cardinals, Tennessee Titans, Seattle Seahawks, and most recently, the New York Giants. Now, at 28 years old, he has the chance to prove he can still contribute. For many, it might look like just another body in the defense. But those who follow closely know experience matters, especially in a group that has gone through major changes. With Cameron Bynum leaving for the Colts, the safety room looks completely different. Today, Harrison Smith remains the living legend anchoring the secondary, alongside Josh Metellus, Theo Jackson, Tavieri Thomas, and Jay Ward. But depth is something Brian Flores values above all, and that's where Wallace comes in. He doesn't need to be a star, he just has to be ready to be the steady hand in an emergency, especially since he can also help on special teams. And let's be honest, Vikings fans, we've seen players join the practice squad without hype and eventually become key pieces during the season. Remember how Metellus started out? Almost unknown, and now he's a leader on and off the field. If Wallace can repeat that path, what looks like an insurance policy could turn into a golden opportunity. Of course, the question is whether he can stay healthy and show consistency. Preseason already revealed talents like Caleb Halassi, who might be ahead of him, but Wallace's experience could weigh heavily once the season gets tough. And let's face it, seeing Harrison Smith, Metellus, and Theo Jackson starting gives confidence. But who doesn't get nervous just imagining an injury hitting that group? In that exact scenario, a quiet reinforcement like Wallace could become the unexpected hero. This is just the beginning, because the next headline carries a symbolic weight that shakes the fan base's memory and promises heated debates. You know those numbers that carry history, that the moment you see them on a jersey you immediately think of one unforgettable player? Well, Vikings fans, that weight has a new owner now. After years of number 8 being tied to Kirk Cousins at the heart of the Vikings offense, now a new face has taken over, and the choice is none other than Jeff Okudah. A cornerback trying to revive his NFL career will now wear the same number that defined an entire era in Minnesota. Is it just a number? Or could this detail actually shape the narrative of the season? Cousins wore number 8 for 6 years here, stacking both highs and lows, but always being the reference at the most important position in sports. His move to Atlanta on a monster deal worth $180 million left a void, and now seeing Okudah step into that number feels like officially turning the page. But along with this new owner comes a massive responsibility. Fans will look and immediately compare, and let's be real, any slip-up will trigger comments like, "This 8 used to be represented better." But there's also room for a redemption story. Okudah comes in set to be CB3, behind Byron Murphy Jr. and Isaiah Rodgers. He hasn't lived up to being the number 3 overall pick back in the 2020 draft, but he's still young, 26, and under Brian Flores' system, he might finally find his way. The catch is that last year in Houston, he barely saw the field, logging only 77 defensive snaps. That's what makes this feel like the last call. If it doesn't work now, it probably never will. And here's the kicker. The media is betting on him. Analysts like Andrew Buller-Russ and even voices around Minnesota believe this could be Okudah's breakout year. They see a strong pass rush and a defensive mind like Flores unlocking hidden potential. The fan base, though, is split. Some think the 8 will turn into a symbol of disappointment. Others see it as a sign of rebirth. And while we're still wrapping our heads around seeing Cousins' old number on a defender, another situation is shaking up the offensive hierarchy and reigniting that old question, who really gets a seat at the table in this loaded attack? When fans were still figuring out how the Vikings offense would adjust without Jordan Addison for the first few weeks, it looked like Jalen Nailor had finally found his golden opportunity. The nickname Speedy seemed perfect. Speed, field stretching, and a chance to lock down the WR2 role temporarily and shock everyone. But as happens so often in the NFL, luck flipped fast. A hand injury derailed his plans, raised doubts within the staff, and forced Kevin O'Connell to find a solution that hit the fan base right in the heart: the return of Adam Thielen. And let's be honest, Vikings fans, when Thielen walks into the room, others lose space. Even in Carolina, with messy quarterback play, he still put up 48 catches, over 600 yards, and 5 touchdowns in just 10 games. A reliable veteran production, the kind you can always count on. Comparing him to Nailor in 2024 might feel unfair, since the younger receiver posted decent numbers: 28 catches, 414 yards, 6 touchdowns. But the detail is cruel. Nailor played all 17 games in a pass-happy O'Connell offense. Efficiency weighs heavily on the veteran's side. The math is simple. Thielen is back. Addison returns in Week 4. Justin Jefferson remains the superstar, and Hockenson still demands constant targets. Oh, and don't forget Aaron Jones catching passes out of the backfield. In that setup, Nailor quickly drops to WR4 or even WR5 in terms of priority. That's a brutal fall for someone hoping 2025 would be the year to prove himself before cashing in during free agency in 2026. So what's left? The hope that his speed and ability to stretch the field can shine in specific moments. Nailor averages nearly 15 yards per catch, more than Thielen, but in the NFL, consistency beats flash. O'Connell and Flores want dependability, and that puts the young receiver at a disadvantage. If he wants to flip this script, Nailor will need to prove, snap after snap, that he's more than just a complementary piece. And that doesn't even compare to the shockwave of the next twist, because it involves a beloved veteran, a desperate rival, and timing so wild it feels almost unreal. If there's one word that defines Adam Thielen's return to the Minnesota Vikings, it's destiny. But this time, destiny played a cruel trick on his old team, the Carolina Panthers. The trade was finalized on Wednesday. 2 draft picks shipped, the hometown legend back at US Bank Stadium, the fans' hearts racing. But no one could have predicted what came the very next day. Jalen Coker, seen as Thielen's natural successor in Carolina, suffered a serious quad injury. End result? The Panthers' plan collapsed before the season even began. Think about it, fans. If that injury had happened just one day earlier, the trade never would have gone through. Carolina would never have parted with Thielen knowing they'd be down 2 key receivers. What looked like a calculated move for the Vikings turned into an accidental screw job, leaving their rival completely blindsided. While we celebrate the return of one of the franchise's most beloved players, the Panthers are scrambling with names that don't exactly fire up their supporters. And let's be clear, the big winner here is Kwesi Adofo-Mensah. The GM showed patience, worked the timing perfectly, and ended up benefiting from a twist of fate. Now, the Vikings have Thielen to fill Addison's suspended role and give J.J. McCarthy even more stability as he starts his journey as QB1. Experience, chemistry with Jefferson, clutch plays on third downs, all of that is back in Minnesota's locker room. Meanwhile in Carolina, the situation is bleak. Without Thielen and without Coker, Bryce Young will have to roll with Tedoroa McMillan, Xavier Legette, and Hunter Renfrow, who was out of football in 2023 and now returns as a quick fix. It's like their offense lost its backbone in a matter of hours. For Vikings fans, it feels like an unexpected blessing. For the Panthers, it's a devastating blow of bad luck. And this contrast only adds to the sense that something bigger is happening. Thielen's return isn't just a roster move. It's a symbol that the Vikings are ready to fight in 2025 with fire in their eyes, and maybe with luck finally on their side. It shows just how unpredictable the NFL can be and how the Vikings are surrounded by stories full of emotion and strategy. From Wallace's quiet arrival to Okudah wearing number 8, through Nailor's battle for snaps and capped by Thielen's epic return tied to Carolina's misfortune, everything points to a season loaded with twists and turns. But none of this makes sense without the energy of the fans. Now's the time to support, to question, to debate, because this journey is just beginning. Which story grabbed your attention most, and what other moves do you think this team still needs to make? Drop a comment, share this video, and hit that subscribe button for all the latest Vikings updates. Stay tuned. SKOL Vikings, let's go.